in terms of how to troubleshoot your poor sleep, if you are doing all the right things, then we have to actually have the conversation about troubleshooting your sleep. But do the right things first. Avoid blue light, go to sleep at the same time, get up at the same time, get sunlight in the eyes in the morning, get grounding throughout the day, consider a grounding mat, turn off your Wi-Fi at night, eat good food, don't eat it too close to sleeping, avoid caffeine, avoid alcohol, avoid marijuana, avoid blue light, avoid stimulating conversations, avoid television, avoid Instagram at late at night. Do all those things first before you even think about anything else to improve your sleep. So if you're doing all of those things and you're still not sleeping well, then it's time to have the conversations about what might help your sleep. But remember, I think for maybe 80, 90%, doing those things will improve your sleep and probably fix your sleep issues. But you have to do those things. Beyond that, obviously, I think diet is a huge factor. Getting the right nutrients, getting enough protein, getting carbohydrates is critical for sleep. I think so many in the keto community would have better sleep when they added carbohydrates to their diet. I certainly found this. In the keto community, sometimes people will say, oh, I feel like I need less sleep. Well, yeah, that's because your sympathetic nervous system is overactive. That is your fight or flight nervous system. It's overactive. It's a stress hormone. Your catecholamines are up. That's why you feel like you need less sleep, but you don't. You still need sleep. It's just your body is stressed. Your cortisol is up. So I don't think you need less sleep with less carbohydrates. As I've talked about many times in the past, carbohydrates are beneficial for humans. I'm very clear on this. Not necessarily all carbohydrates, but you guys know what I mean. Oftentimes there's some confusion around carbs versus carbohydrates, with carbs being garbage, bread, cakes, cookies, candies, pasta. Carbohydrates, perhaps more technically, being things like fruit or honey. I'm much more a fan of those for humans for carbohydrates, and I've spoken about why in the past. Supplements. The data on magnesium is pretty shady. It's not that good. If you take magnesium and it helps you, fine. Could be placebo. Is it the worst thing in the world? Not really. Some magnesium will make you have diarrhea, which may not be great. Perhaps threonate, perhaps glycinate are the most sedating. See what works for you. Be aware these can have excipients and binders that I'm not a huge fan of. I don't use magnesium for sleep. The only supplements I use are hardened soil, desiccated organs. I've said that over and over, and I tend to try and get the fresh organs when I can, but I love having the hardened soil around. So I don't use any supplements for sleep, and I've talked about it in the past, and I've shared my blood work. I don't take any hormones, no TRT, never done any of that. It's not a bad thing. I want to be upfront about what I've done in my own life and what the physique that you've seen on social media or whatever shows. As a 45-year-old man, I think that I have a pretty good physique, and my testosterone is 800 usually when I do my blood work, and I've shown that multiple times on this podcast. So if magnesium helps, great. If it doesn't help, it's probably not worth taking. You can get plenty of magnesium in your foods. I've done posts on social media about getting 400 plus milligrams of magnesium from an animal-based diet. Orange juice, milk, meat, coconuts, bananas, all of these are good sources of magnesium. You can refer to previous podcasts, my social media posts, if you want to see how I get enough magnesium. You can easily get enough bioavailable magnesium from your foods on a daily basis, and be aware that magnesium may not be bioavailable in many plant foods like almonds or spinach or kale. The phytic acid in there is not going to make that magnesium very bioavailable. In fact, the lowest levels of magnesium I've ever had were on a raw vegan diet, which is supposed to have lots of magnesium in plant foods. It's never bioavailable. So that's a whole separate conversation, something I've talked about in the past with regard to phytic acid, chelating all sorts of minerals, selenium, iron, magnesium, all the divalent cations, calcium, etc. So magnesium, maybe. Melatonin, I'm not a fan of melatonin at all. Doses on the shelves in stores are massively super physiologic, and I think this could have major consequences for humans. There's good evidence that in animal models, giving megadoses of melatonin shrinks the gonads. So you tell me how much melatonin you want to take, guys. I don't want to take it. I've taken it, I think, maybe twice in my life when I was in medical school. Who knows if it worked or it was placebo effect. I don't take melatonin. I don't think it's valuable for humans. Let your body make it by not blocking your rhythms with blue light at night. There are some other studies on tart cherry and kiwi for sleep. I'm not convinced either of those are terribly useful, but see what helps you. Some people have used other things to relax them at night. Personally, I have found that the grounding mat is perhaps the best relaxation I've found at night. So see if that helps you. But there aren't any great supplements for sleep. There are some GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid derivatives that some people have tried. Be aware that anything with GABA may be habit forming. This is benzodiazepines, alcohol, all of these things can affect GABA. It's a dangerous slope. I'm not a fan of things like Ambien. known as Zolpidem, or Lunesta, known as a Zopiclone. Often these have rebound. They do affect your sleep quality negatively by decreasing REM sleep. So there are no shortcuts, I think, when it comes to sleep. You have to do the work. It's like meditating. You really should just do the work. And I think that most of us will sleep much better if we actually just simply put an effort to it and make the lifestyle changes that we should be making in the first place. And that will pay off significantly in the long run.